Hi, this is Stephanie Miller from The Stephanie Miller Show. Please enjoy this exclusive clip from my show on Political Voices Network.
Everybody's like shocked, surprised. There's nothing surprising about this. Matt Gaetz, in a lot of ways, is the perfect attorney general for Donald Trump. Okay? I mean, we have a convicted criminal who's a president, who has been adjudicated to engage in sexual abuse. So why not select a guy who has been loyal to him and who wants to seek revenge in the same way Donald Trump does, and who was accused of sex trafficking? He's the perfect choice. So I don't know why everybody's surprised.
I'm hearing breaking news.
Uh-oh.
Donald Trump is nominating the reanimated corpse of Roy Cohn.
Zombie Roy Cohn.
Yeah.
Deputy AG.
There you go.
Okay, Carl. I'm only laughing because I would cry all day, every day.
Well, you have to ask yourself, there are these young attorneys out there, right, who thought, okay, one day I want to be attorney general. I'm going to go to law school. I'm going to do really well. I'm going to clerk for the best judges I can get my hands on. Mm-hmm. I'm going to practice and, or maybe into prosecuting people as a local DA, work my way up to a state AG maybe.
Yeah.
And then one day I'll be attorney general. If they'd only known the types of things that you can do to prepare yourself to be AG by looking at Gates' record, maybe they've done something different.
By the way, speaking of, what's that three-name guy, this three-name serial killer sounding guy? Republican, Mark Wayne Mullen?
Yeah. Mark, yes.
He's apparently hated by everybody, Republicans and Democrats. He's a Republican, and he said he's not qualified for anything because he used to show us the pictures of, girls on the floor, and also that he would crush up erectile dysfunction medicine and chase it with energy drinks so he could go all night with the underage girls he was presumably trafficking. But that was, did you see that tape? He was everywhere yesterday, Mark Wayne Mullen. Yeah, talking about Mac. I'm sorry, go ahead. Your thoughts?
At least we know what the Botox was for now. He was getting ready for his close-up.
I can't. So, Carl, let me, as a Democratic strategist, because there's been a lot of that going on. Where did we leave off yesterday in the story, Chris? Nancy Pelosi says it's Biden's fault. He didn't get out soon enough. What's her name? Simone Sanders says it's Pelosi's fault because something. Okay.
I have little use for Simone Sanders.
Ron, I have use for everybody. We're a big tent, but oh my God, Carl, it's so counterproductive. Ronald tweets, so did the normies who voted for Trump because they think Biden made bacon more expensive? That's the problem. Biden didn't make bacon more expensive. That's the crux of the problem. Realized that Matt Gaetz would be AG, a Putin propagandist would be DNI, and a Fox host would be the Secretary of Defense. I have a feeling this won't be the first time that we say we tried to warn you. I mean, I'm seeing more and more. Jody was saying one of the biggest searches the day after the election, not only what's a tariff, did Biden drop out, but can I change my vote? Yep. This one from Jane tweeted, my Foxer MAGA mom is flipping out about Trump's picks. Mom, Jesus Christ, how did we get here? Me. You voted for the SOB, Mom, but not this. Me. I warned you. Mom said she had to hang up and eat ice cream to soothe her soul. No joke, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's sad.
I mean, everyone from Paul Krugman and other top economists, Carl, talking about what we all tried to say, tariffs and deporting half our workforce is going to do to prices. They're going to find out in record time.
Yes. And you know how awful these picks have to be.
Oh.
You not want to put them forward with a Republican majority.
Right.
Thank you. Scott Dworkin said Trump nominating Matt Gaetz is clear proof he wants to be a dictator. Gaetz isn't even qualified to load a Pez dispenser, and he should already be in prison. I mean, and some people are saying, "Oh, well, this is that bad, so that he can get so and so through, that he won't get, who." Can you say who he's going to get? Probably anything he wants at this point.
Likely, they did pretty much whatever he wanted last time. And they, at least there were some quasi grown-ups in the room that would slow things down from time to time, right?
Yeah.
So I have every anticipation that Look, one of the things that's interesting to me is that the leadership race in the Senate, they went with Thune, which you would think means that it'll be like it was with McConnell. There'd be a little bit of resistance, whatever.
Right. They said, screw you. He said Rick Scott, and Musk said it's Rick Scott because Musk has to get his stupid doughy face and everything now. but they said that was the first FU, wasn't it? They were like, nope, we voted for Thune.
Yes, but why didn't Trump engage in the race? They were, the stories afterwards said that had Trump endorsed Scott or gotten involved in the contest, it would have been decisive. I think that A, Trump didn't want to risk political capital, and B, Thune agreed to do whatever the hell Trump wants.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah. I found it. Chris.
Okay.
Who said there's a reason why no one in Congress came and defended Matt Gaetz, because we'd all seen the videos he was showing on the House floor that all of us had walked away. Of the girls he slept with, he would brag about how he would crush ED medicine and chase it with an energy drink so he could go all night. Who said that?
Atom Ant.
No, I just told you before the thing. Republican Senator Mark Wayne Mullen. I mean, I don't know what to say about this because I get some people are still in a normal world going, oh, he won't get through. Well, obviously, that's why he asked them to pledge for recess appointments 2 days ago, right?
Yes, 100%. If people thought that more norms wouldn't be crushed, they are wrong. Like, this is what it's going to be like for the next, however long. I'd say 4 years, but who knows? It could be longer.
Yeah. So, Tulsi Gabbard, Russian asset. So we have an actual, enemy. Is there anyone that is going to be able to, because that, again, as we were saying, is America's security. They obviously, whether it's Secretary of Defense, Attorney General, DNI, they're not going to be looking at protecting America. They're going to be looking at going after Trump's enemies, obviously, and protecting all of, Trump's crooky friends again.
Right, and it's one step away from the people that were paid off by the Russians, like the right-wing media folks. So, it is debilitatingly awful, and you have to laugh at how crazy it is. But it should be giving all of us a wake-up call that we've got, about 2 months to rest up and get ready for the next 4 years. And bite it off in digestible chunks the next 2 years before the next congressional races.
Yeah. I mean, our friend Joe Walsh said, when you voted for Trump, you voted to put Tulsi Gabbard, a Russian asset, in charge of our nation's intelligence. That's what you voted for. Congratulations. Kurt Bardella said, if anyone was shocked or surprised by any of the announcements being made by the president-elect, you haven't been paying attention. This is exactly what was promised, exactly what was promoted, exactly what was campaigned on. If you didn't see it coming, you're blind. I mean...
Every single person that he puts in his circle are going to be people who will do whatever he wants this time. There's a reason why he went through 5 or 6 Homeland Security secretaries in 3.5 years.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't do well with people who resist or push back or give counter opinions or present him with factual information or ask him to read or ask him to consider another way. He doesn't deal well with anybody who just won't do what he wants.
Yeah. Oh, to your point, Chris, it's going to be a very rousing guess the quote.
Okay.
Strap in,
Okay.
Carl. Who said my vote to acquit Trump should not be viewed as an exoneration? What former President Trump did to undermine faith in our election system and disrupt the peaceful transfer of power is inexcusable.
Mr. Spacely.
No, that was a good guess, though. You thought that's what but see, that's how I threw you off. No,
Okay.
that was John Thune.
Oh.
Who is now Thunely enthusiastic about.
Enthusiastic?
Yeah, about
He's
Donald Trump.
enthusiastic.
Who said what former President Trump did to undermine faith in our election system and disrupt the peaceful transfer of power? Once again, inexcusable.
Mr. Slate.
No, it's no same guy. Thune.
Okay.
Okay. So Carl, where are you in the circular firing squad of what Democrats need to do now? First of all, I'm like, they voted for this, and we're supposed to keep beating ourselves up about what's wrong with us. It's like, sorry, I don't want to be a racist, sexist, horrible, despicable felon traitor that voted. I don't want. That's the thing. It really should we be more like Trump or his supporters? Like, what's the answer? Do you think?
One, I don't think it benefits us to attack each other. But I would say what I think needs to happen going forward is that we need to be very clear in our economic messaging around what we support. And that is a working families agenda, right? And I think the Harris campaign did a very good job of painting that picture, but they only had 2.5 months to do it. And I'm not going to blame Biden for getting out when he got out. That ignores how long of a process planning these campaigns is. And it also, how unprecedented that decision is. But the Harris message on the economy worked well in focus groups and with voters. I don't think it had long enough to have an impact. Unfortunately, I think for, about 2 years, we as Democrats spent our time saying, no, inflation is coming down. Record low joblessness in this country, which are both true facts. But for anybody who's being impacted by the cost of groceries or gas or heating their home or any number of other, kitchen table cost issues, it kind of flies in the face of that. And Democrats had an agenda to deal with those issues. That should have been the front and center economic message, rather than stressing over and over again things that people just don't feel impacting them.
Yeah. Well, and by the way, we've said, and people a lot smarter than I have talked about that being also, it's just disinformation. They just have such a giant megaphone to tell people things are terrible. Joe Biden's terrible. He's too old. I mean, you're right. It was kind of a perfect storm. Primarily, it's like circular, right? Whether it's the media and then Democrats and then polling numbers and then so everybody, as I always say, Carl, everybody's right and everybody's wrong. I mean, Lawrence O'Donnell said no one's ever replaced a candidate this late and won. So you're right. Part of it is that we don't. If we're going to say we're in a bubble, it's that we marinate in this. Most people, as evidenced by the Google searches, they don't pay attention to any of this. And so that's why it wasn't long enough for Kamala Harris to introduce herself to the American people and her policies, because they don't pay attention. And so we think, well, they must understand these basic facts. They don't.
No, and I think it's very hard for people who are engaged like we are and surround ourselves with people who are engaged like we are to grapple with the idea that for some people, being engaged is not in this level of interest in the political system is not on the radar. I often describe it as once that light switch is turned on in somebody and they pay attention for the first time. When Trump was elected the first time, my younger sister, who I no longer call little because she's in her 40s, my younger sister started going to marches and protests about Trump. It was the first time she'd ever been engaged, and that switch will never be turned off again.
Right.
So I don't know what it takes to turn the switch on for people, but I do know that for people who don't have that switch on, they're extremely malleable when it comes to campaigns if they end up voting at all.
Right. Yeah. Well, this is what we keep saying, it's going to hurt all of us. And we were obviously fighting for everybody. Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, have been for 4 years. And obviously her plans going forward were for everybody, And somebody made the point, too. They're like, all the people they hate, the snotty liberal elites, guess what? They're going to be able to afford stuff. You're not. I mean, that's going to be the tragedy of this. I mean, Paul Krugman saying Trump will take credit for all of Biden's economic successes and anticipates that his fans have no idea the damage his policies are going to cause. He said there's maybe 8 million undocumented workers. That's like 5% of the workforce. The whole food supply chain is relying on people who are going to be rounded up and put in camps. He said that's going to cause a pretty big shock to people's cost of living and the way they live. And he said, but where's he? Oh, I've been seeing new repeated focus groups after the election with Trump voters who are shocked to find out that tariffs are taxes. And they've been deliberately misinformed by Trump people. That's the whole crux of the election to me. J.D. Vance, he said, told voters once immigrants are gone, more jobs will be available to Americans. He said we have essentially full employment among native-born Americans. There is no reserve of Americans to take these jobs. By and large, jobs native-born Americans would be reluctant to take. People have absolutely no idea. A quorum of people who voted in this election have absolutely no idea of what's coming down the pike. And then he just said, Trump took credit for Barack Obama's what he did after the economic crash in 2007, 2008. He said Trump will take credit for the recovery that's being handed to him and then say his anti-immigrant agenda is driving it. And going forward, Carl, his cult will believe anything he says. Be like, see, it's because Trump deported everybody.
Here's what's particularly frightening about it is that, constitutionally, this is the last 4 years Trump can be president. And you can bet that the people he's filling his administration with will put their foot on the pedal and push as hard as they can to get as much done in the next 2 years as possible, because they know that it's going to be very difficult for them to hold on to Congress in 2 years.
Yep. One last one, because we talked about housing costs yesterday, which is also a big thing that only Kamala Harris had a plan for. Analysts said similarly, if construction labor costs increase because there's fewer construction workers because of immigration restrictions, the cost of building a home will also increase.
And by the way, building a home already increased by like 30% because of COVID and the supply chain. So if people were hoping that when interest rates finally started coming down, thank you, Joe Biden, that the cost of construction would, bend down as well. Good luck with that.
Yep, exactly. All right, Carl, best of luck to you.
Best of luck to us.
May you be far down on Attorney General Matt Gaetz' enemies list.
Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. I hope you'll join me on my new audio podcast, Justice Matters. I'll be using my 30 years as a federal prosecutor and Army JAG to unpack, break down, and explain the legal issues of the day, particularly where the legal intersects with the political. Please look for Justice Matters with Glenn Kirshner wherever you generally get your podcasts.